Good morning, babies. I'm over here sitting in my grandma corner with all the quilts and the old family rocking chair and the sewing machine and the rectifier and the lamps. All these are family heirlooms. They're not worth anything but to me. And here's another one, Hansel and Gretel. This is an old book, and it is a little golden book, and you all by now should know. Look at this. It says this little golden book belongs to David Langford from the Bonham Rotary Club. Mr. Langford, why did you give your book away? You should have kept this book. These women's Rotary Clubs got your little golden book. And my word, this book looks real familiar though, like one I had as a child. 1954. This is an old book. It's older than your Mimzie. Oh, why does McDonald's have the best Diet Cokes? Because that's just not even fair. But it is good, and we are going to read this book this morning, Hansel and Gretel. Yeah, I know that I have seen this book before. When I was at my grandma's when I was a little girl, my mama's and aunt's books were always still there, so I grew up reading that. Ooh, she's a hot mess today. You don't mind. On the edge of a small clearing near a great forest, there lived a poor woodcutter and his wife and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. The wife was the children's stepmother, and she was very cruel to them. Sometimes we call those step monsters. Some step parents are fabulous. It's just in this story, she was not fabulous. They had always been very poor, but one time there was a great famine in the country, and the woodcutter could not even earn enough money to buy food for his family. The poor woodcutter worried day and night. Finally, he said to his wife, "What shall we do? We will surely starve. The food we have left is not enough for the children, let alone for us." "I have a plan," the stepmother said, and I could just hear the thunder and lightning. Oh, tacky breeches. "Today, early in the morning, we will take the children into the forest and leave them in the thickest part of it. They will never find their way home again, and we will be rid of them." "There are laws against this." "I cannot do that," cried the woodcutter, but the cruel woman forced him to agree. Spineless. Now Hansel and Gretel heard them talking, and Hansel thought of a clever plan. Creeping outside, he filled his pockets with pebbles. The next morning, before the sun was up, the stepmother shouted to the children, "Get up, you lazy bones! We are going into the forest to cut wood. Here is a piece of bread. Don't eat it yet because you won't get any more." They set off for the forest with Hansel and Gretel lagging in the rear. Gretel carried their bread, and Hansel stopped every few steps to drop a pebble on the ground. Finally, the father called back, "Hansel, hurry up! What's keeping you?" "Oh, I'm just looking at my white kitten who's sitting on the stool," said Hansel. "She's trying to say goodbye to me." "You fool!" cried the stepmother. "That's the sunshine glittering on the roof." Little disjointed, but that's okay. We're going to keep reading. When they reached the middle of the forest, the father built a good fire. Then the stepmother said, "Wait by the fire while we go to chop wood. We will come back to get you." Hansel and Gretel fell asleep. When they woke up, it was night. Hansel comforted Gretel, who was frightened by the dark. Then when the moon came up, they could see the pebbles that Hansel had dropped, and they followed them all the way home. Good thing for those pebbles, but I don't know how you could tell one pebble from the next pebble in the middle of the woods. But that's not my business. When they got home, the cruel stepmother planned again to get rid of them. And the next day, they all went once more to the forest. She is determined, isn't she? This time, Hansel was not able to collect pebbles. He dropped breadcrumbs instead. But when evening came, they could not find the breadcrumbs. The birds had eaten them. All night they walked, and all the next morning. Suddenly, they saw before them a little house all made of gingerbread with windows of spun sugar. They ran toward it eagerly. I don't know. What would you do if you found a gingerbread house in the middle of the forest? I would think something about the mushrooms we saw on previous pages over here. I know I saw some mushrooms. I know I did. Now that yeah. That's what I would think if I found a gingerbread house in the middle of the forest. Hansel ate a piece of the roof, and Gretel ate some of the window. I think there's probably walls against this, too. Then they heard a voice say, "Nibble, nibble like a mouse. Who is nibbling at my house?" The children answered, "It's only the wind." And they went on eating. Then the door of the house opened, and an old woman came out, leaning on a crutch. The two children were very frightened, but the ugly old woman spoke very sweetly. Let's take a gander at that old girl. "Do come in," she said. "You must be very hungry and tired, for you look as if you've come a long way." Then she led them into her house. Children, we do not go into the house of strangers at all, ever. Not even if it is made up of sweet confections. Ooh, look at that woman. No ma'am, no Pam, no ham, no turkey. We are not going in her house. There she invited them to sit down to dinner. They were so hungry that they ate everything on the table. She's fattening them up. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? How is this a children's book? When they had finished, the old woman put them to bed in great, comfortable beds. I love that old style looking bed. That's cute. I want to build some of those in my cabin. Papa said there's not enough room. I think there is. We'll see how that plays out. Now, although the old woman seemed so kind, she was really a wicked witch who ate little children. You reckon she'd been to that island? I got nothing else to say about that. So while Hansel and Gretel were sleeping, she was thinking of the fine meal she would have. She's going to get that prion disease. You know what I'm talking about? This is a children's story. This is not even a children's story. The next morning, she awakened Hansel and put him into a cage. No matter how he begged to get out, her heart did not soften. Then she woke up Gretel and put her to work. "I'm going to eat you both," she said. "But first, you will do some of my work." Again, there are laws. Child slavery laws. Look, yes, I remember this picture specifically from my childhood. Look at that. He's being sneaky. So poor Gretel had to carry water, chop kindling, scrub floors, and sweep the rooms. Gretel did not get very much to eat, but the best kind of food was given to Hansel, for the witch thought he was too thin. Each morning she asked him to stretch out his finger so she could feel how fat he was, for she could not see well, but Hansel stuck out an old bone, so she thought he was not growing any fatter. She was just squeezing that little skinny bone, thinking he was a skinny rascal. Very clever, Hansel. At last the witch decided to eat him anyway. Forget it. I'm tired of it. She could have been eating all that food she was fattening him up with. Gretel had to build the fire and fill the kettle, and she cried as she worked. Can you imagine having to get the cook pot ready to cook your brother? I cannot imagine that. Although there have been times. But no, I'm just kidding. No, I could never. Then the witch came to Gretel and said, "Crawl in the oven, Gretel, and see if it's hot enough." But Gretel replied, "I don't know how to do it. How do I climb in the oven?" "Stupid," cried the witch. "The door is big enough. Why, I could get in myself." She bent down and put her head in the oven. Kind of reminds me of the Holocaust a little bit. Quick as a flash, Gretel pulled her in and slammed the door. Then Gretel let Hansel out of his cage. "Hansel, we're free," she cried. "The old witch is dead." Ding dong, the witch is dead. Filling their pockets with glistening jewels from the witch's hoard, they set off through the woods, determined to find their way home. But though Hansel and Gretel walked, they were still lost, and not a thing looked familiar. Just when they had given up hope, they heard a happy cry. There was their father coming toward them. "Hansel, Gretel," cried the father, hurrying to them. "I have looked and looked for you." Do we believe him? Do we suspend belief here for a second? I don't know, Papa. He took them home, and Hansel and Gretel found that their cruel stepmother had gone away forever. Well, maybe he ate her. Look, I'm just cutting loose with the comments because the book's not any better than what Mimzie's got to say. And with the jewels that they brought from the witch's home, they were able to live comfortably and happily ever after. Wow. Wonder if they ever went back to look at the house, finish eating the house. I don't know. I have questions. I'm telling you what, these Grimm's fairy tales are not for the faint of heart. And I know this has to be one of the Grimm's. Anyway, I want to say that I love this book, but what I'm going to say is I love the pictures and the artwork in this book, but not as much as I love you.